Back in December, David Hood was with us from EPS Security. We talked about readying for maybe holiday departures and trying to be certain about security while you're gone and some notion of security around the home. And we're going to elaborate on that, I think, in our next segment. But today, if you're a business owner and you have a physical brick-and-mortar location, you must, at times, if not all the time, be concerned about security around and in that facility, and that's our focus today. David Hood is back with EPS Security. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
Thank you for being here today. Boy, you know, we were talking several weeks ago when we were readying for these segments, and I was amazed at how far we've come with the technology here in these areas, including when you have a facility where employees are in and out and there are security concerns.
Oh, yeah. Well, certainly the security landscape has changed. There's more awareness today than ever before.
Right.
In and out of the small business and or large.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really consider all things. Do we keep doors locked? Do we have a culture that exists where employees are only going through a particular door or two? Do we have receptionists in many cases? So the business has decisions to make as to how they want the culture of their staff, how they want to view the safety of their organization.
That's interesting because you brought up the culture word, which, you know, if you have a lockdown place,
right?
Does that affect the culture? Do people talk to you about that? You know, if we act like Fort Knox, maybe it makes people feel uneasy.
Of course. Yeah, you have a lot of businesses in West Michigan, Southwest Michigan that have been multi-generational. They've been around for years, and it's been this open door, very comfortable environment.
Yeah.
And owners at times are going to suggest, well, I don't want security cameras. I don't want to be that type of owner or that type of manager. But that climate, that landscape has changed really because of, oh, God forbid, the things that happen in the world today. But we have to take care of our staff, take care of our customers if we have a retail environment. So, it's totally different. And it's a conversation that owners today are having more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And that video surveillance idea is at times at the center of it. Should we have it or should we not?
Yeah, so video surveillance can be used in many different ways. It can keep employees honest. It can be a deterrent from crime. But at the end of the day, if something does happen, you want to effectively find out what happened. Did that slip and fall really occur?
Mm-hmm.
Or did that car get broken into during the day or at night? So video can be used for many different purposes, but at the end of the day, it's, again, finding the video if you have cameras, effectively retrieving the video, and then have it for law enforcement that will hold up in court.
Are there varying degrees of what people want as far as video surveillance? Some might want their hallways surveilled. Others might just want the parking lot, or maybe they want it all.
Yeah, it varies, and there's a cost to it, obviously.
Yeah.
Good thing is cost of this technology has come down over time. It's more affordable today than it had been in the past with the evolution of the digital video recorder, the evolution of the phone, the cell phone with apps. Now you can have remote look-in. So as a business owner, if you're one that you want to travel, you want to take a vacation, and you want to disconnect from your work, you can still look in with that remote app. So it's more affordable today. It's more mainstream, and there's a lot of opportunity to protect the entire space, or you just pick and choose some vulnerable spaces that you're more concerned about.
You talked about the DVR. Boy, in the day, it used to be a tape or something, and it got overwritten in a week or something like that. There must be a lot more space in a DVR to hold surveillance.
In the late 90s, the DVR really started to come out, and these were 250 gigabyte, 500 gigabyte DVRs. Now they're into the terabytes, and they're just a fraction of the cost that they once were.
Mm-hmm. So you could have maybe years of surveillance on a DVR?
Well, potentially, because you can set these up to only record on motion activity.
I see.
So you're not recording, dead space, or you can get intelligent with it, and utilize it to benefit. But most people are going to be aware of an event happening within a day or two, or maybe a week. So a few weeks of storage is typically good enough. Now, there are insurance requirements. financial institution, a bank, may require 90 days or 180 days. So it does vary. It depends.
Dave Hood is here from EPS Security. We're talking about security in the workplace, and it isn't just about video surveillance either. We'll talk more about some of the other innovations happening as a result of technology in securing your business. That's coming up on WBCK. David Hood is here from EPS Security. We're talking about business security today. Question came up, what if you have limited internet access or a cap on your data usage? Does that affect any of this setup?
Not in most cases. The system will be configured for the space that you're looking to protect with cameras. When you access that video, you're only accessing a small portion of that. Sure, you need to have bandwidth, you need to have internet capabilities, but in most business applications, the business network infrastructure will accommodate it just fine.
Okay, so it might be a perception that if you have the ability to look at your surveillance camera from Tahiti or something, that it's constantly streaming and using your data. Obviously, that's not the case.
No, that's not the case. Now, we have to be aware when designing a solution for a large application of the IT infrastructure. We typically at EPS will build a dedicated surveillance solution with the use of switchgear and a server. So it's dedicated to the surveillance. That way you're not riding on their pre-existing network.
Got it. Okay. A long time ago, I worked in a high-rise building in Detroit.
Okay.
And the company had multiple offices over 3 or 4 floors in the building. So each one of those offices had a pass key entrance kind of thing, and you put it on your key ring, and it looked like a plastic key. It was a narrow, about key length
key
piece.
fob.
Yeah, and you stuck it in the receptacle by the door, the door, and then you went in.
Sure, access control.
Access control. This is some of what happens now, but I imagine it's a lot more modern than that.
Yeah, well, it's not far from that today.
Okay.
But it's more modern with the use of less wiring. You still have to power these door strikes or mag locks, but it's gotten more affordable as well. So who wants to manage hundreds of brass keys? And when there's a termination of an employee or someone leaves and forgets to turn in their key, how secure are you if that key's floating around? Now with access control, it could be card key entry or a key fob type solution. You have total management of that solution, so you can enable a card or disable a card right on the fly as you're managing the system. Or if you don't have the manpower, the staff to manage that for you, companies like EPS Security can provide that service for you.
I see.
Yeah.
So is it all key access these days or key card access, or can you use a number?
It's typically referred to as proximity card. It's a card that fits in your wallet, or it could be a key fob on a key ring. And you just hold that up within proximity of that reader at the door. And that, based on your credential, based on you being confirmed all right for that entry point, that door will unlock for you. What's nice about these systems is you can also have these doors on schedules. So that door will automatically lock at 5 p.m. and unlock at 8 if you choose to have that as an open entryway, whereas other doors on that same system may be always locked.
Very interesting. And as you say, proximity key. So the days like I had where I had to go and actually put that key in the slot, that's not the case anymore. It senses that you're there.
Yeah.
And I think your point about the access dates, if you have, say, a temporary employee who's going to end, their employment's going to end on a certain date, you can render their access inactive such that even if they kept that pass key,
that's correct,
it's not going to open it.
Yeah, a lot of businesses use access control for contractors. There may be a major renovation at a site where a team of contractors are going to be on site for a couple of weeks, couple months. They could be issued those cards and they have a termination date on them. But what this also provides, Richard, is an audit trail. So if you ever want to look at a report of a door or a particular card holder or employee or contractor, you can just retrieve a report specific to that. So it's also a management tool. Now, you don't have management tools with brass keys.
That's true. They open, they close. Maybe they were there, maybe they weren't.
Right.
Yeah, so this is going to give you access to a report that says passcode with employee number such and such came through the door at this time.
Right, absolutely.
If you need to know, there it is.
Yeah.
Interesting. WBCK, a few more minutes with David Hood, EPS Security. We're talking about business security. This is really interesting how the innovations in these areas have changed. So if there's an intrusion with this kind of system that we're talking about, what happens then?
So intrusion alarm is your standard burglary alarm system, right? Okay. Intrusion, it's an armed solution maybe in the evening. It's disarmed when the first employee comes in the morning. This is your traditional security. Now with that's changed as well with technology. Your sensors, your motion sensors, your glass break detection, they're door sensors. That technology has evolved. More wireless applications exist today. Now in really large warehousing and distribution type centers, you still may want ideally a wired solution, but where it's changed the most is the remote applications. Mm-hmm. So again, back to the cell phone, right? The mobile phone where you can be alerted of an alarm event and you can acknowledge it. You can disarm your system. So if you have an employee that had forgotten their disarm code potentially, and they create this alarm event, you can disarm it, and
from wherever you are.
From wherever you are. Again, so it's about being connected to your security. It's not invasive. It's not difficult to use. It's now just more highly technical.
Then, of course, there's concerns about fire and notifying employees at a moment's notice. And if you have a big facility, that could be a challenge.
It can be. Well, we're kind of ending our conversation on fire alarm and life safety, which is so important. Most of the buildings that were built years ago are grandfathered in their in their local communities, and there may not be particular requirements, but there will be if they're renovating or making major adjustments to the site. But with new construction today, it's a code-driven scenario. You have to have life safety. You have to have a fire alarm system. And where that fire alarm system has evolved is in the evacuation side of it. So in the event of a fire, in the event of maybe a tornado in the community, you can alert your staff through voice evacuation. So you have pre-recorded messaging that can be specific to a fire alarm, be specific to a tornado, or maybe there's even a special tone or announcement if there's an active shooter. God forbid if there's an active shooter in the space. Mm-hmm. So that's all part of that fire alarm solution, but it's been, again, through technology enhanced. It's now mass communication. It's voice evacuation.
Well, if you think about, we'd rather not think about it, but if you think about the necessity of what would have to happen in those situations to try and preserve safety, boy, this is like in a second.
Right, and they're intelligent systems. Now, here's what I mean by that. You might be in the back of a plant where it's extremely loud. You need to be notified there, but you might be in the office space where, it's a little bit of white noise, a little bit of conversation going on. You don't want that same blaring alarm that you're going to have in the back 40 of the plant to be the same loudness in the office space. So there's intelligibility to these systems.
But so it would be quieter in some zones and louder in others, and it knows how to sort that out.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah. All right, so these are the things that Dave works on a daily basis and helps create these solutions, which obviously are very flexible. I think back in the day when I was putting that key card into that receptacle by the door, and that was a pretty straightforward solution. You just wired those doors, and that was that. But these things are a lot more involved, but yet simpler.
They're simpler, and they can incrementally grow over time. Now, your budget may allow for 2 or 3 surveillance cameras, but you can grow that to 30 or 40 if you choose, because you don't have to necessarily go all in at one time. Mm-hmm. And with card access or access control, you can do the same. You might have one door you want to have better control over, but that might lead to 3 or 4 doors in your business. So these systems can incrementally grow over time.
Dave Hood with EPS Security can answer your specific questions if you need to. How do we reach you?
EPSsecurity.com.
That's the easiest way. Yeah. And if you want to submit a message that way or make a call, the number would be there too, EPSsecurity.com.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, thank you. We'll talk again soon.